Welcome to Uptown Rumble, heavy music in the Bronx. Today is December 13th, 2024. My name is Steven Payne, director of the Bronx County Historical Society. Rich, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself real quick? Just your full name and the bands that you've been a part of. And we'll get in more detail, of course, but just mention them briefly.
Yes, my name is Rich Casale, and I was born in the Bronx about 1,000 years ago.
Great.
Yeah, and so I've been in the band Cold Sweat, and that's these guys right here. We made a what they call a seminal record in 19. Am I pronouncing that word right? So in 1984, and actually I have recorded with members of that band after that, but there was reasons like there was. The main guitarist wasn't in it. We couldn't use that name, but there were people. You have the same group of guys. Like, the Eagles aren't going to record with Aerosmith. They're going to record with the Eagles. So, and every Saturday, it's another band I recorded with, just offshore. The mastermind, the genius, Russ, the computer genius, keyboards and everything. He's been a great friend.
Absolutely.
And I even went on to play guitar in the United Methodist Church. I prefer a great guitarist in my band so I can just have fun and sing, and that's all I got to do.
Absolutely.
And there's so much equipment to get.
Well, thank you so much for being here. So we're going to get into a lot of detail with different aspects of your musical development and the different bands you played in a second.
Yeah.
But why don't... All right, Richie, So talk a bit more about your family history and background. Do you know how your family ended up here?
Italian Jewish descent. My mother's Jewish, my father Italian, and we grew up in the Throgs Neck section of the Bronx. And
what street on Throgs Neck?
Quincy Avenue.
Okay, Quincy Avenue. Okay.
Yeah. 860 Quincy.
I see. And do you have a lot of memories from your early childhood there?
Yeah, and a lot of great memories too.
Yeah. Like what was the neighborhood like at the time?
It's right next to the bridge, so you feel like you're actually growing up in Queens. It's not a Bronx vibe. I never went to West Bronx or South Bronx. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
Anything, we went to Flushing from there. So, and then we vacationed in, we would go up and see relatives in Beacon, New York.
Okay.
And I would get an opportunity to learn my guitar. And I was kind of like a nerdy, quiet kid. And when I went to school, I got skipped 2 grades because I got to a point in my life where I had this huge tumor on my right femur. And, it was still the dark ages when it came to diagnosing cancer, and pretty much that's probably what was going on there. And they had to take a huge thing in the main vein out of my leg, so they skipped me a couple of grades.
Wow.
And I used that time to read as many books as I could, learn the guitar, and and basically from there I went to the High School of Science.
What were the elementary and intermediate or middle school you went to?
Well, I moved when I started. There was an intermediate school. It was Art 101.
Okay.
Yeah, but we moved at that time. So, and that's when I had the thing with I couldn't go to school. By the way.
I see. That's when you moved to Co-op City.
Yeah, that's right. And
I see.
Co-op City, and that Section 5 was like they had wild dogs. Freedom Land was still there.
I've heard.
The bathrooms, you could read on the rocks, it said Caballeros, and, it was like the ruins, and there weren't proper streets. They wanted to get everyone in there. It was like get rich, type of deal with that River Bay.
Yes, absolutely.
Crooks. I mean, not so much crooks as just people that are very into the money, like so much that it's like it was built with spit, Co-op City.
I know. So when you moved,
ended up sinking a lot of it.
Absolutely. Were there buses in service, official like city buses in service at Co-op City at the
I don't
time?
even remember. No.
Yeah.
You had to go to Pelham Bay.
Yeah. Absolutely. And did you play in the ruins of Freedom Land ever?
I wasn't allowed to do that.
Yeah,
There were wild dog pack. Unless I was a wild dog, then I could play in Freedom. No, really, it was that dangerous. Yes.
Wow. Do you remember? I've heard some people talk about the process of getting into Co-op City. Apparently, I don't know if this happened with the initial cooperators or later on, but representatives from River Bay and then later, the board after the cooperators took it over, would show up to people's houses and interview them and see how their living conditions were. Any of that? Do you remember any of that happening with your family?
No, it was co-opted. Yeah, I don't remember that actually. I remember them pretty much minding their own business.
Yeah.
So no, that's not. Maybe they did that
later on.
Yeah.
And
they were concerned about the quality of the people coming in.
Yeah.
Maybe with the application process was not as foolproof, if you want to use,
Sure. What floor did your family live on
15.
in the building? In 15th floor. Wow. And it's the 5th section. Did you see the Long Island Sound, all of that from your apartment?
From that way, from that view, we could see Freedom Land. The ruins of that, and there was the mall. That was a recent thing.
That's right.
So no, it was more of a Bronx skyline. It was not visible from there. No.
Yeah. So
it was the other way. That's the other way. Yeah.
The other way. That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. And do you remember? Did your family know other families that relocated to Co-op City at the time? Were you all kind of alone?
No, I remember being kind of alone. And what I remember most was this thing. Civil rights was a big thing at the time. And I remember that they said, this is where everyone gets along. And for me, I was like, this is tough. And my mother was one of the only survivors in her family from Holocaust and death camps and stuff. So my mother had a very hard time. She had agoraphobia.
Yeah, sure.
And if someone would come to the door, she was not accepting of other nationalities and race and color and all that. And it was tough for any kid. I remember saying to my dad, where are the churches here?
Yeah.
It just seemed like a wild deal. And I was like, looking over my shoulder because I felt more comfortable growing up in Throgs Neck, and I didn't like the idea of... And then the thing happened with my bone cancer and stuff, and it just was a lot for me.
That is a lot. Mm-hmm. That is a lot. How you were in intermediate school, so how old were you, like 12 or 13? 11 maybe?
The thing is that I never, like I said, they skipped me 2 grades at once. Not 2 separate years. They skipped me 2 grades. I went from, 7 to 9 or 5. I can't remember.
I see. No, that's fine. Mm-hmm. That's fine. So I guess it wasn't until the Bronx High School of Science that you really returned to school then, is that right?
Yeah.
And what was your time like at the Bronx High School of Science?
Okay. Well, I do remember tons of homework.
I bet.
Oh my God. And the books, it was like you become a weightlifter there. They really push you along. And here was I, starting to get into my music, which is more on the night side, and I would end up being groggy and stuff like that. And so I would go to college. I would go to college, a 2-year college after that. And, And I worked in the music stores. I worked in Manny's, Rudy's, and we'd buy guitars.
Okay, and where was Manny's, Rudy's? Where was that at?
48th Street.
48th Street.
Music Street.
Uh-huh.
It is now done. But that was the great thing, man. You're a musician. You were not old enough to have experienced it, but you go down to 48th Street, and there's all the music stores.
Wow.
And there's, who goes there. Every famous person is in there all the time.
Absolutely.
I spent about, John Entwistle, the Who.
Yeah.
They put me in charge of the bass guitar department. I'm watching him play. His fingers are like tarantula. And I'm like, do you want to buy this guitar? And I'm like, I'm so young and everything. I'm just being blown away by the people who come in. What was their name? Steely Dan?
Yeah, Steely Dan. Uh-huh.
The two of them? What is it? Dan Fogel. I think there's two of them, right?
Yeah,
but
there's two of
they
them.
look so ordinary that everyone was like, it wasn't until they want to pluck down all that money for stuff that they were, we'll buy all this, Then they realized, wait, who are these guys? Yeah. So
Wow.
I saw Bob Marley sit there,
incredible.
and play his guitar, and got to see a lot of famous people.
Wow. Yeah, that's just nothing that had happened anymore, because anyone famous will probably either have their own very specialized places they go or buy things online.
No, they'll come there. Back in the day, they would come.
I know, that's amazing. Did you go to any music stores ever in the Bronx? I think
Yeah, I took lessons. So there was 2 music stores on Glen Hill Road.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know why. Palumbo's, of course, and then across the West Manor Music.
West Manor Music.
I went there for private guitar lessons with Chris.
Okay.
He was an Eric Clapton freak, so I got to learn my blues. That's what you did when you started guitar. You learned blues.
Absolutely.
You listen to blues records and get all the old guitar, Muddy Waters and B.B. King, and that's those 2 in the Bronx.
Wow. How old were you when you picked up guitar for the first time?
It tells you in the bio that when I was 5 years old, I made a guitar with rubber bands. And basically, my mother saw that I liked that and bought me some kind of guitar that was really hard on my fingers, but it allowed me to learn. I can still, when you're talking to me, remember listening to Rod Stewart's Maggie May on the radio. Because back then we listened to AM radio. And,
Sure.
And I remember that part at the end with the mandolin. Like I just spent hours and days I got to learn this.
Wow.
There's no tabs to look up. There's none of that.
That's right, purely by ear.
Yeah, you have to do right, and that's a lot of the guys from them.
Wow. So if you're already that attracted to music at age 5, did you hear a lot of music in your household? How'd you?
Yeah, my dad was a huge opera fan. And so it set it up pretty good because my singing would never be good enough for him. He liked Placido Domingo. With the blind guy, what's his name? And Pavarotti.
Oh, yeah.
Mario Lanza. He had all the records, and I was, very geeky. I would listen to all that stuff too. My mother was into the show tunes, and Oklahoma Where the Wind Comes. So it was a whole box set, of records, 7-inch in there. And
Sure.
They had the Stagecoach on the cover. So I went through all that. I had we had a record store on Tremont Avenue. One of my first records was, I think, Petulia Clark's Downtown. The Rolling Stones. Hey, you get off of my cloud. It was that. And, yeah.
And
actually I had drums. I played drums also.
Okay, and how old were you?
That never panned out to me.
I see.
But actually, I was... I'm not okay, but you can't be an okay drummer.
Yeah, sure.
You have to be great, or else you can't just be good. There's everyone wanted to be drummers.
That's right.
Right, but it taught me a lot. I did have my own drum set. And
Okay,
stuff.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah.
Yeah, bass, and I basically learned to play.
Wow.
Everything, and singing. I just I like my own voice actually, and I remember walking to school one day. And I was singing a beer commercial. They used to have the one. Yeah. And I still remember the song. It was like this. Feeling free, going easy. You've got places to be going. Keeping trouble miles behind you. You can see the road savings. You know, it was just like it was a Budweiser commercial.
Yeah, sure.
So then I get to the school and I go, oh, I gotta be quiet now.
Wow. So
So I had
go
books
ahead.
like this with all I would write down all the words to all the songs.
Wow.
Then they had a magazine then called Song Hits.
Uh-huh.
It was every month. I got my parents to get me a subscription every month. All the song hits were in there. I want to see what are the lyrics. What are the lyrics? And that's the only way you could find out what the it's not always easy.
Otherwise, you'd have to keep trying to hear it on the radio every so often and try and write it down.
I had a huge book. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, when you were getting so much into music at such an early age already, were there other kids in the neighborhood or at school that were also getting into music as much as you were? Kids that you kind of were friends with or hung out with?
Yeah, because it was one of the only things that there wasn't all these options like now.
Yeah.
So everyone, there were records and I would say yes, that's true, but not as far as being musicians or learning instruments. But back then you weren't looking over your shoulder who was there was no social media, so you didn't care about who was doing this and who was doing that 2 blocks away.
Sure.
You didn't know.
Absolutely.
You were in it was more of your own world back then.
Absolutely. And did you have any siblings or cousins or anyone that you grew up with?
Yeah.
Okay. I see. Was your brother as into music as you were at the time?
Yeah, actually, he was pretty into music.
Yeah.
But he didn't have any real talent. He would try to play the drums and stuff. Sometimes we let him play the drums, but that was a disaster.
Right. Now, you mentioned a couple of the first records that you got. What started sending you more and more down the road of like rock, and then more into metal and all down that road? Do you remember was there a record or?
I'd say definitely the Midnight Special, that show. And I saw Queen, on there, and it's just like you stayed up till 11:30, and I remember putting the TV in the closet. It was like so, like, let me see what they look like, the ones that I heard that song, and it was just a progression of like Elton John,
Sure.
And what was on the radio, and what your relatives and friends bought, what records, and I just noticed that the more I wanted, I noticed that hard rock had the guitar up front, and I could make out what was going on, because I'm kind of retarded like that. I can't make out what's going on if the other instruments are burying it or whatever.
Sure.
And that's just what my ear preferred, or
Sure. And do you remember were you at this early age, were you did you come across Jimi Hendrix or Black Sabbath, or was that later on?
Well, Jimi Hendrix, I did come across him. It was a disaster trying to play like him.
I bet, yeah.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
So, I remember in 1974, I didn't like Kiss's first 3 albums. I thought they were noise.
Sure.
I didn't like them. But Bachman Turner Overdrive. 1975, I got an album called 4-Wheel Drive for Christmas. And it was so heavy. And I liked it. I liked that because it's interesting. It holds my interest. Still to this day, something doesn't hold my interest, I'll start yawning or fall asleep. So, so it had that Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper, for sure.
Yeah, it had its greatest hits. That was one of my first albums. And I think that when I went to, at some point when I was with Russ, I think I sang something by Alice Cooper. And it was a good thing that I did, because it was something that I said, oh, okay, because I was on that way to transitioning, really, from being just another guitarist in the band to fronting. And that's really, singing was really something where I could be more versatile. I was like, I can't do I don't want to even do that, copy it. every time I would copy something, I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter. I would say, you know what, I got this idea. I don't even want to do that. So the ones who copy the songs and everything on guitar, it's great. There's a lot of songs I know, but I did that easier on vocals. I can do more.
Now, were the guys from Cold Sweat?
But they tell me I'm really good on guitar, and I guess it's okay.
Sure.
Yeah, right.
So were the guys from Cold Sweat? I know it wasn't called Cold Sweat at first, of course, but were they the first people that you formed a band with, or did you have any kind of band before them?
My first attempt at a band was including Lonnie Sherman on drums, and was it him? Well, we called it semi-ugats.
Okay.
And actually, semi-ugats, ugats in Italian is slang for shit, so it's kind of shitty. The perfect thing.
That's funny.
Right.
How old were you when you formed that?
Probably before we were even teenagers,
Wow.
Yeah.
And we're
at that tween age.
I see.
They didn't call them tweens back then.
Yeah, for sure. Were y'all just kind of playing around, or did you write any original material?
We thought we were rocking. Yeah, of course. Well, I was always writing stuff like "Nowhere Train" was one of my first. Yeah, I always came up with stuff, and I was the guy that said, "We're gonna do this, and here's how it goes, and these are the chords." Yeah, I was always about being original. And being kind of different and progressive, and I got attracted to like Ravi Shankar's morning and evening ragas. I like John McLaughlin's Mounting Flame, and Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush, and this was towards like the later 70s.
Sure.
Some amazing guitarists from that era.
Sure.
Scorpions were starting to come out. They were more of a European thing.
Yeah, that's right.
That was called imports back then.
You'd have to go to the specific section, the record store, to get that. So was semi-ugats, is that right?
Semi-ugat. Semi.
Semi.
We didn't even pronounce it right. I'm telling you the wrong pronunciation.
Was that after you'd already moved to Co-op City? Is that when that formed? Or was that back in Throgs Neck? If you remember.
I don't remember.
That's fine. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna get to get more into Cold Sweat in a little bit, but before we do, when you moved to Co-op City, did you still go back to Throgs Neck to the record store? Where would you go to get your records?
We were really good friends with the people who owned that house, and I think to this day the lady and her son are there, and they had a big backyard, and
wow.
And so in growing up in a private house is really nice.
Yeah.
As opposed to having more room in a building, and a co-op, is it's a good thing. When you do move out, you collect the equity on the. That's like 1,000. Starts at 1,000. The equity for each room. And yeah.
Now, do you have very many memories of the rent strike period at Co-op City?
Yeah.
What do you remember about? It was like, 15 months or maybe a little more than a year, right?
It's about 15 months. I think that you're exactly right.
Yeah. What do you remember about it? How did your family relate to the rent strike?
They were okay. My dad was a shoe salesman, and he was the head of the shoe department at Brooks Brothers, and he looked like Frank Sinatra, and he loved going to work, and he loved his job, and he had a perfect marriage with my mother, and the kind of marriage that teaches you taught me what love is, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. That was very special to watch those two. They needed each other only, and that remained like that till they were older. And I managed to intervene when they were in nursing homes and get them back together.
That's good.
Because I knew the hill that my father wanted to die on would be next to his wife. And this was around the time that I became, this is why I became a minister and stuff like that. And ordained, and even did a few marriages.
Wow.
Yeah, I married a couple of people. I became a marriage official and stuff. And I think that music speaks the language of love if you get that right.
Absolutely. So, in your household growing up, which of your parents did most of the cooking, or did they both do the cooking? And what do you remember them cooking?
My mother. My mother, even though she's Jewish, she learned to cook like the best Italian. Yes, you had to do that for my father. Oh, he just reminded me of something incredible, right? She cooked like amazing, yeah.
Like, what would she cook?
Oh, okay. It'd be like, the Italian stuff, the raviolis, and then my father come over and say, "Let me see if it's ready." He'd give it a taste. Another minute. So all the Italian dishes, roast beef, and it was so important to them that I grow up in that way. That it's very, you have your dinner, you do this, and that was So I don't remember all that, all that much about the cooking and stuff.
Sure. And the apartment that you lived in Culp City, was it a 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom? How large of an apartment was it?
I think it was 2-bedroom. I shared it with my brother. But later on, when my parents I ended up having the apartment. The title was handed over to me and stuff, whatever, and I worked. I had to buy. I was maintaining the apartment there.
Sure.
So my father had a AAA heart attack. And my mother would eventually, her brain and stuff would go.
Yeah.
But and once when my dad had already died, it would be horrible to even try and get my mother to accept any of that.
Yeah.
Because they were that close.
Wow.
And I just thinking, it makes me sad. It makes me want to cry to think about kids today that have to grow up in broken households. They're missing out on so much.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Do you know how your parents met? Did they ever tell you that story?
Wow. Let me try and see if I even got that. I've been told that story, but I guess I'm having a senior moment.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
No, it's not.
It might come back to you, later on while we're doing.
Let's talk about this great band here. Cold Sweat, man.
So how'd you meet the guys who later formed the core of Cold Sweat?
Okay.
It's a cool logo.
Yeah. So this is drawn. This guy actually has something like life size in his backyard. This is drawn actual artwork.
Wow.
Yeah, this guy became a cartoonist. So how did I meet them? In Culp City. Russ and I started to say, a record company. Well, all these record companies gonna rip us off. Let's start our own and have a P.O. box for it. Power Voltage Records. And this album came out on Power Voltage Records. So I heard all these horrible stories about everyone getting ripped off by, eventually, or something like that. And yeah, so it was back then, I keep thinking of this. And that is that there weren't all these options. There were things that you did, and you could sit around and twiddle your thumbs or whatever, or watch the TV.
Yeah, sure.
It got boring. So, I always had to have something to do when I'm watching the TV. Like, I learned to type over 80 words a minute. I'm sitting there. My father's saying, "Can you, do that in another room?" This is such commercials.
Yeah, I know.
Back then. Now, I don't know how old are you, Steve?
37.
Oh, okay. So you're very young. But you might remember some of that stuff were pre-internet days.
I do.
Right?
I do. Yeah. And yeah. You're right. It gets very boring watching
But it was very different, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was.
And in a lot of ways, it was also, it also had more quietude about it. That's one thing I noticed.
Absolutely.
About those days. You didn't have all the bells and whistles that you have now.
That's
to
right.
distract you, to annoy you, whatever it was,
That's right. So, did you meet Russ just kind of around Co-op City, or how did you meet him specifically? Do you remember?
He lived in a neighboring building.
Uh-huh. And I guess you both probably started talking about music one day, and
Playing I remember telling him one day, I said, that's your mom's piano? You should play that.
Yeah.
And that's what he started doing.
Uh-huh.
I remember a song that we made up called Drop the Bomb.
Uh-huh.
And it was like, do, 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 do. And I would get a chance to do all my lead stuff and weird sounds and all that. And yeah, he just, made up songs,
Sure.
And then we'd meet who plays drums, who's playing guitar, who's playing bass. What about recording studio? Where can we rehearse?
Yeah.
And we rehearsed in people's houses. I ended up having the drum set in my house. Back then you could actually do that. And the guy in my building came to audition. His name is James Front. He's out there. And he became a used car dealer. He actually took the drum set and actually beat the shit out of it to the point where it was unusable.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I think that story's up there on our website called sweat.rocks. There's a lot of the stories up there that are just very incredible, funny, bizarre.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember how did you meet the other guys in Cold Sweat? Was it all through Russ, or did you have...
Can I go now?
Yeah, sure.
I just have to use the bathroom. Notice in your life that even the hardest things that you go through, eventually you come to realize, okay, you're all right with them, or you can't feel the pain anymore from them. You can't feel any tears anymore. It's like there's a certain washing away and a learning experience and the wisdom that you gain.
Absolutely.
As you go through life. So it's,
Absolutely. Well, so yeah, how'd you meet the other guys who would eventually form Cold Sweat? Did you meet them through Russ?
Just the neighborhood guys,
Yeah.
that were our age. You have to be within 2 years of each other back then, at least, to be in the clique,
Sure. Sure.
Within a couple of years.
And did you all have places around the neighborhood where you'd hang out?
Yeah, pretty much. It was a hill.
Of course. I mean, yeah. Where else do you hang out at Co-op City? The hill.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Pelham Bay. There was actually benches there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the first concert that you went to that you remember?
Rock concert?
It could be any concert, but let's do any concert first, and then we'll do rock concert.
It was a lot. That's the thing with me. It was very, oh yeah, so it's playing. So I don't really remember the first ones, but I certainly remember my first rock concerts, and so did Peter Frampton.
Okay.
And he fizzled out pretty fast then.
Yeah.
I'm in you, you're in me was the song that was playing as we left, and like, wow, I'm in you, you're in me, and you give me the love that I never had. It was like, wow, it was like the worst song. Everyone's filing out. Van Halen, David Lee Roth jumping over the microphone. First album, they did every song I think on that album, but I'm the one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where was that concert at? Was that at Madison Square Garden, or?
I think so. It might have been in Long Island. Long Island. There was a place in Long Island.
The Coliseum.
Coliseum.
Yeah.
And and saw Randy Rhoads with Ozzy Osbourne. I saw Motorhead open for them.
Wow.
AC/DC. So Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, they ripped up all the seats.
Oh, that's the year I think they were banned, and they've still been banned from Madison Square Garden ever since.
The Palladium. No, it was
Okay, that was the Palladium. Okay,
Palladium
they must have done it at
different.
Madison Square Garden too, because apparently they've been banned there since '84.
Yeah.
They did it to the Palladium too. Wow,
Mm-hmm.
wow. So when all of these bands were out, there obviously wasn't any kind of standardized way for rockers to necessarily dress. But did you ever start wearing like leather, denim, any of that kind of look at the time?
Yeah, just went with the territory. Well, as this picture will tell you, this shirt was like glued to me. I remember I went out with Madonna for like one night, okay?
Okay.
And she would say that she would call me Randy, and I'd wonder, why do you keep calling me Randy when my name's Richie? And she would say, because of Zebra. I went out with Randy from Zebra. Those three guys, ever hear the band Zebra?
No, I don't think I have. No.
If you like, oh my God.
Okay, I have to listen to them. Okay.
Zebra business. Like they had songs like, Zeppelin quality songs and
wow.
Angel. You ever hear of
Angel? Yeah.
Okay, so Zebra, Angel. So it was like a pink tiger shirt or whatever it was.
Wow, okay.
Right. And that's Russ over here.
I see, yes.
The cigarette, I think, whatever he's holding there. And Keith is on guitar.
Keith is there, I see.
He's in Florida now, but
that's right, yeah.
This is a friend's house. Right, and that was like, I don't know, it's like 81 no, I think it's 82.
I see. Yeah, what else do you have here from that early period?
Yeah.
We'll get the headband in a little bit too.
Yeah, see that. My hair was pretty long up to only a few years
ago.
I
see, wow.
Mm-hmm. Headband is another man from the Bronx, This guy right there, he goes by the name of Slade. And he is a New York City legend, but you'll have to find out about him yourself.
Sure.
He's like, you ever see the guy that wears what was his name, Buckethead?
Oh, yeah.
Very mysterious. The guitarists are like that. They can be very mysterious. So, yeah, we even have headbands playing on the 20th.
That's right.
Long Island. I would really hope you could come out there. You know what we're trying to do? We would really like to be able to video it.
Oh,
do you know
sure.
Have any connection to guys who do like videos and stuff?
Yeah, there's one person I know. Just remind me when we're done with it, and I'll I can put you in touch with.
Oh, please, yeah.
With him. I know he does I think he does videos too. I know he does photographs of concerts, but I think he does videos too. Okay, great. So as far as Cold Sweat is concerned, what was the first name of the band?
Okay, Social Disorder.
Social Disorder, that's right. And if I remember correctly, didn't Social Disorder play maybe its first and only show in Yonkers? Or was it New Rochelle? I forget.
Steve, do you have, what music are you familiar with us? You familiar with the record in '84? You've heard that?
Yes.
What kind of music do you think that sounds like to you? Metal?
Yeah, like definitely
hardcore. You got that New York thing in there?
Yeah. There's definitely some hardcore punkish kind of swagger to it.
Maybe
as
even
well.
Some gothic overtone.
Yeah,
they never used that word back then.
For sure.
Right.
For sure.
That was used for that was never used actually. That term. Now we got all these subcategories.
Yeah, that's right. But you were just playing rock and roll, really, of different kinds.
Exactly. No, I remember what it was. It was heavy music.
Heavy music. Yep.
Yeah, heavy music.
Yep. Do you have very many memories about the first show that you played with Social Disorder?
No.
Because Russ had some funny stories about it, I guess.
Oh, they're all up there on the website.
Yeah, that's right.
But
but I know you didn't last long with Social Disorder.
No.
Before you changed to Cold Sweat. Do you remember, how you came up with the names Social Disorder or Cold Sweat? Is there any kind of process to it?
Well, I know that the song by James Brown called Cold Sweat made us crack up, made us laugh.
Yeah.
And I think that played a very big part in just having something that has an absurd song that like it or something. It wasn't like that was a song that we did.
Sure,
So
sure.
we just, it's that dichotomy in cold and sweat. One is hot, one is cold.
Yeah.
You notice that with bands like Judas and Priest.
Uh-huh.
Iron and Maiden.
That's right.
Those are not the good examples, by the way, but there's better examples of that dichotomy or whatever you want to call it.
I guess like Black Sabbath in a way to a certain extent, but
Yeah,
Judas Priest is pretty good, I think.
But to having one the opposite of the other.
Yeah.
Like there's a band called Love/Hate. Jizzy Pearl and Guns and Roses.
Sure.
There's a good example.
Sure.
You got one. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty much. There wasn't big thought processes to
Sure.
how things were done back then. It was, more that was it. You did,
And in Social Disorder, were you already singing in Social Disorder, or were you, just playing guitar at that point?
I think I was probably writing songs.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'd probably do both at the same time, I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was doing, yeah.
I see.
There was a place called the Rising Sun
Exactly. Yeah.
in Westchester County. I don't know how much research you did on that. Whatever happened to that guy Mo who was the...
I don't know. I need to find out because I've definitely heard a lot of people mention him before.
Maybe he headed south for the border or something.
Yeah, I don't know. But I know the Rising Sun. It's one of the first places Metallica played on their first national tour. I think it was the second or third place they played at.
We played on a bill that included them, and I remember Dave Mustaine on bass, and he had a big pentagram on his shirt. And it was so, and that was Dave Mustaine, who now is, totally Christian. And
yeah.
And I remember that. I remember that the most. I remember they sucked. And
Yeah.
Like 82, they were pretty noisy.
Yeah.
Noisy bunch.
Yeah. That's right. Right. So aside from the Rising Sun, after Cold Sweat Forms and all, I know, I from what I remember, I think Cold Sweat also performed at the Rising Sun, of course, but
yeah.
Were there other venues around the area that you remember playing at?
The Skinheads liked us, which was, I was emerging at that time, the hardcore and the Skinheads and that punk energy.
Yeah.
And they vibed with us pretty well. And, stage diving had just started. I remember hurting my back real bad when I stage dived, and I thought someone was going to catch me, and they didn't.
Ooh.
And I remember saying, "That's it. My back it's how it's it." I thought that was the end of my career. But yeah. So.
Did you play and
CBGBs, A7, Great Gildersleeves.
Great Gildersleeves. Okay, for sure.
Yeah.
What about? Oh, was it called the Red Eagle on Tremont Avenue? Do you remember that club?
Oh, the Red Eagle Saloon.
Yeah.
How about the Viking on City Island? Yeah, well, this place. Yeah.
Did you all ever play there? Or I'm sure you went there plenty of times, but did Cold Sweat ever play?
I think so.
Yeah.
We probably did. Yeah, we were kind of guys that did stuff like that. So not really, but that was kind of like a wild place. What avenue was that on?
It was on Tremont.
It was on Tremont.
Yeah. I don't remember the cross street, but I think it's where the Wild Wolf is today. I think it's in the same location. I just would have to look to see what the cross street is, but it's like, pretty far down.
Oh, okay. So down by Throgs Neck.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a couple of places that we played there with Headband, and there's a Jamaican place that has Jimi Hendrix artwork and stuff. We played there, so it's near there.
Yeah.
Wolf,
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah.
So I know exactly.
I think from what I might be misremembering, but I think the Wicked Wolf is in the same location as the Red Eagle was. I think it just took over.
Yes. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
At least it's very close to it, so it's somewhere around there. But I know I've heard of some pretty interesting bands playing there once upon a time. Did you ever have any run-ins during this year these years with like any of the Anthrax guys who are from the Bronx? I'll take that
Not in. Yeah, there were two sisters, Joanne Manello and Carol Ann, and I remember that I liked one. He was with one, and the drummer was there. And I remember he had just drawn the artwork for the first one where the punch in the face.
Oh yeah. Fistful of what's it called? Fistful of Metal, I think.
But if you ever seen the Legs Diamond album cover, it's complete rip off of that. Right? You agree? Okay. Right. And he had just drawn that, and I saw him, do that. But they were the kind of guys that came over with shaving cream and shot each other with. It's like, these guys, they were like a different kind of mentality.
Yeah, sure.
But, and well, to me, he was the guy that stole my girlfriend at the time, so I didn't like it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's just like that. Oh, when you cook and mush, it's just, that's not what I call metal. It was more on the hardcore side.
Yeah.
You wear your shorts or whatever. It's just the antithesis of what we were, the coolness of, the Judas Priest and everything. And not my thing at all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you have very many memories about the Battle of the Bands in Co-op City?
No. When did that happen? Oh, yeah, kind of, but it was overhyped. We were actually, Cold Sweat was on a album, I don't know if you could find, it's called Too Damn Hype.
Huh.
And it's not metal bands, so we're in there with punk and hardcore. Too Damn Hype.
Do you remember what the label was that put...
No, Russ would know that.
Interesting. I'll have to look for that. Too Damn Hype, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And another compilation, too, that I don't recall the name of right now.
I see, yeah. Sometimes these compilations are pretty hard to come by these days, but Too Damn Hype, I'll look for that.
They had a tendency to group us more on the hardcore side. Why? Because I was I heard Lemmy growl. And I said, wow, I'm growling,
Yeah.
Because it's not, I don't hear other guys doing that. And he's so cool when he does that, and the microphone's up here, and so it was like a big influence on the fact that I said, wow, I can sing, but I can also do, that's more aggressive. And
yes.
At the time, I was into being very aggressive, and that was a big part of it. And I didn't care so much that a lot of times when you use that approach, your song-songy approach gets left by the wayside. Some of the, you can really mess up your voice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So aside from Motorhead, what are some of the other bands that were really like pivotal to the sound of Cold Sweat?
I think it was everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just whatever we came by was a big influence, and whatever was the hot album of the not so much. Some of the guys, they gravitated towards prog rock and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't have that attention span.
Yeah.
I didn't have that kind of attention span for Yes or anything.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. So are there any shows from the Cold Sweat era that like stand out to you as like particularly the most kind of badass shows that you performed at or anything like that?
It's not really, for me, it's not really the shows so much. It's one thing that we did, we did a recording, and we were just talking about this in 1982, Power Plant or something. And
Power Play Studios, right?
Yeah. And Donnie Fury, and it was a 4-track, I think it was going to be a 4-track EP or something, a 12-inch. It was 1982, and the other guys are saying and the thing is, I would love to track down what was up with that. And again, it was the idea of actually getting in there, making vinyl. That was the big highlight to me, and it remains the highlight of what we did. And as far as me being the singer, they can never replace me. There's no way. No one have that I'm just totally so much into it that I'm stupid. But that proved to be true. And, Russ has made his album called Mate, M-A-T-E, in 1995. And
Sure.
he went down the road where he's making albums with his solo keyboard just offshore. And, so... But that's the highlight to me.
Is the recording.
Yeah, the recording.
Not as much like the live performance or anything, huh?
That's part for the course, but what lasts the longest is that you recorded properly. That's what we did.
Sure.
So we're gonna have a 40-year. All the original members signed it, and it's got different formats, and also we have a merch store now with shirts and everything. And I think I asked, what's the release? So you might ask me that. What is the record release date for the Cold Sweat? And I think it's supposed to coincide with something with February, the exhibit.
Oh, okay. Russ didn't tell me that. February 20th is the date that the exhibit's supposed to open. So is that that maybe that's the release date for the album then? That
I don't want to get in trouble by saying that.
Sometime in 2025, I guess, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Is there going to be a festival that we could be part of if even if we can't perform under that name because of some internal stuff that I won't talk about, but would that even be something that might be on the agenda? You got Ace Frehley, you got the Ross the Boss.
Yes, definitely in the works right now is at least one,
Wow.
but hopefully multiple, concerts as an offshoot of the exhibit while it's up, because it'll be up from February until October. So it'll be up for a good amount of time. And during that time, there's a new venue in the Bronx Music Hall, working with them to set up some actual dates. But more on that as it develops. But
Bronx Music Hall, isn't that kind of a new thing?
It is, yeah.
Where is that, first of all?
I know it's in the 160s. Let me just get the exact address. But yeah, it's run by the Bronx Music Heritage Center, which has been around for maybe 10 years or so. But it just opened in September. And it's, I think, 250, capacity. It's on East 163rd Street. And let's see what the exact intersection is. Yeah, East 163rd Street and Brook Avenue. But really, really nice venue. But yeah, more on that to follow. Would love for Cold Sweat or some iteration of Cold Sweat to participate in one or multiple of those concerts.
Great. Mm-hmm.
So when you were with Cold Sweat, are there any bands that you remember performing with as kind of
No, I could say Metallica, I remember. It's a lot. I mean,
I know you played with a lot of different bands. There are ones that you particularly like, kind of connected with the most, either sound or just cool.
I remember pulling up to one place, and by the way, I used to have like rhinestone clip-on earrings, and I wore makeup, and it's just like I always whatever I could do to stand out.
Sure.
And to be rock and roll. And we pull up to marquee, and it says, I think it said Seizures and Cold Sweat. Yeah.
Wow.
It's funny.
Wow.
I'm so focused on what we were doing, and now this comes to a head right now, and that is that I've always been so focused on what I'm doing that it doesn't matter so much what everyone else is doing.
Sure.
There's always,
Absolutely. So you mentioned how the recordings were, the central legacy really, and you mentioned the compilations already. Why don't you talk through the recording process with the different, Cold Sweat recordings and how it was,
Well, back
being in the
then,
studio.
what you did was you got into a room and you tried to get a live take. Everyone sets up baffles, and you try and recreate. I never was a fan of everyone going in separately. If you get the whole band, I mean, there's bleed over going through the drums and this and that. But the idea is that you get that electricity and that chemistry from all recording together. It's an energy of one, and you want to overdub stuff, and you can still get a great live stuff. There's a lot of areas where it's not that I don't want to talk about them, but I wasn't really prepared.
Sure,
so
sure, that's fine.
To something else?
Yeah, absolutely. So do you want to talk some about I guess what you've gone on to do after Cold Sweat?
Most definitely, yeah.
I know there's a lot of different things after Cold Sweat, so if you want to just take it like more or less chronologically.
Right, okay, chronologically.
If you remember, we can go to Headband first, and then kind of take it back.
Yeah, right,
yeah, okay,
exactly.
yeah. So tell us more about Headband.
So Headband will do. You'll hear us do a Ronnie James Dio song, and in the same set we might be doing "I Ran So Far Away." Like for instance, I can read you our current list of songs.
Oh yeah, please do, do. And Warren's in that band now too with you, right? Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Uh-huh.
So Cold Sweat, there's a little Cold Sweat and everything. Yeah. Yeah. Plus in that way. And we have a dancer, Coco, who actually balances a sword on her head and
wow.
dances with that. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And where's Coco at? Basically, a belly dancer who really into rock and everything. It's okay. So this is
oh, I see. I see. How long has Headband been together?
Now, maybe it's like 10 years.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Well, there's the guitarist, and like I said, his name is Slade, and basically he's maybe the best guitarist in New York City.
Wow.
Yes, I say that unequivocally.
How did you meet him? Did you meet him a long time ago or more recently?
I think it was a matter of him driving around and saying, I thought I look kind of cool, and he was like, "What are you into?" He was like that.
I see.
And we both have the same birthday.
Uh-huh.
Only a year apart in age.
Wow.
So, yeah. And so it's like, really good like that. Warren actually plays in a Rush tribute band now.
I knew that. Yeah, I remember he said that.
She's pretty amazing. The drummer sings. Could you imagine?
Wow.
Singing.
I always have so much respect for drummers who do. I don't know how they do that.
Mm-hmm.
There's not that many who do, but.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So here's a good cross section. Okay, so Beautiful Day, U2.
Uh-huh.
Melt With You, Modern English.
Uh-huh.
I Ran So Far Away, The Flock of Seagulls, The One I Love by REM. We do that good.
Uh-huh.
Tainted Love, Soft Cell. Jumpers, Third Eye Blind. Fight for Your Right to Party, The Beastie Boys.
Uh-huh.
Wonderwall, Oasis. Boulevard of Broken Dreams, Green Day, Wicked Game, Chris Isaac. It's My Life, Bon Jovi, Get Lucky, Daft Punk, La Vida Loca, Ricky Martin, Summer Breeze by Seals and Crofts, Bad Finger, Day After Day, Steely Dan, Ricky Don't Lose a Number, Bad Company, Feel Like Making Love, Devil Woman by Cliff Richard. You know that one?
That's a good one.
It's good for her dancing on that. Jimi Hendrix, All Along the Watchtower. And yes, Slade's got that down.
Wow.
Kenny Wayne Shepherd, Blue on Black. Except Balls to the Wall.
Okay, yeah.
Judas Priest, Green Malalishi, Dio, Last in Line. We got a few Slade originals in there.
Okay.
One is I've Been Waiting. That's what I really want you to check out. Pink Floyd's Comfortably Numb. I love doing that. War Pigs, Black Sabbath. We have alternates like No Time by the Guess Who, N.I.B. from the first Black Sabbath album, which that album had a huge impact on me, and nothing sounds like that.
I know, it's true.
Yeah, for some people it's too gothic and all that, but no.
I love that album. Yeah.
Really?
I do.
Is that your favorite album by them?
Depends on my mood.
So I was in a Sabbath tribute band.
Yeah.
Called Sabbath in Black.
Oh, okay.
In New Jersey, we played the Loft, and it's a nice place. And I also did one gig with Judas Rising, and they're pretty good too. Yeah, so that's and let me just tell you the alternates. I was reading the songs. So, where's the alternate? Oh, so like 2 Tickets to Paradise, Black Magic Woman, Santana. Don't You Want Me, Baby, The Human League. Every Rose Has Its Thorn, Poison. Ringo's Photograph, that's a fun song to do. Sweet Emotion, like stuff like that.
Sure.
So the
wide range.
Wide range, and the thing is, I get the burden because to have all that. I just sometimes what concerns me is using other people's PA.
Sure.
And not dictating to that sound person. You want it a little bit louder.
Yeah.
And I always appreciate. I want to be able to not lose my voice, and that's always my biggest concern. That it's gonna have a good sound, a lot of echo on it. Put the echo on there, I can forget words and everything. No one will notice.
Yeah.
And a common, I don't know if you know this, a common trick by singers is to throw their girl's name into songs, and you won't notice it.
I didn't know that. No.
Yes. Like you turn. Yeah. Yeah.
So you do that too, huh?
Yeah, I do that, right.
That's funny.
Yeah. And no one's more critical than people are no more critical on any instrument. Everyone thinks they know about vocals and singing. Or the guitar, I don't know too much about the guitar, but if you suck, they'll let you know.
Yes.
And these days, you can go around the world too if you're that bad.
Yeah. I know, it's true. Well, so after Cold Sweat,
So also I play as a house guitarist in a Methodist church.
Oh, that's right. Of course, yeah.
Years. One of my greatest experiences was. There was actually a dead body on stage, and I was playing guitar.
Ooh,
and
wow!
You can't, make sudden move. You have to learn to be very fluid in a church situation where there's service going on.
Sure.
That. And it that kind of thing taught me the most, and it was a new experience, And with the guitar, I had to read the what we were doing and attend a couple of rehearsals every week. And everything's got to sound like music.
Sure.
Not a put down of rock, but you're playing to older people, and I really learned a lot through that. You heard a solo of mine at the beginning.
Absolutely.
I don't think that would work if I played it right now and you recorded it, would it? I'd like to do that. Can I do that?
Give it a try. We'll see how it picks up the sound.
So
we'll see how it picks up the sound. This microphone generally is pretty good.
Everybody left the hall, so we don't have to worry. Kidding. Okay.
And this is the Methodist Church in Co-op City, you said, right?
Yeah. But they want a lot out of you,
Yeah.
And you have to believe in every story, too. And I know that it's not words that what the religion is about. It's not about the words and the stories.
Yeah.
It's about how you get along with each other and your integrity.
Sure.
Yeah. I wanted that experience, and I had thought about doing that for a long time, and all right, so let me play. Okay. So yeah, all right, just like a minute 35 I get to. Oh, I've been waiting some there too. It's Warrant. Warrant has that on there a little bit. Okay, so yeah, so this is it. I didn't realize I'd do the feedback at the end. That shows my
you can take the boy out of rock, but you can't take the rock out of the boy.
I love feedback. That was a great guitarist, Buck Dahmer, and he has the same birthday as the guitarist in Headband and me, which is November 12th, and so does Neil Young.
Oh wow! How about that?
That's some good company there.
That is some good company.
I
Wow.
love Neil Young, too.
So what are some other bands you played with over the years? Aside from Headband and the Methodist Church
I
band.
mentioned a few of them: Judas Rising, Sabbath in Black, SIB, which is like a play on NIB, which is one of their songs. And I've done like fill-in stuff for people.
Sure.
Hey, Rich, you need someone to sing at this rehearsal. It's all Deep Purple, and yeah. You know what? I'm gonna play you a song by Slade that we're doing that night,
Okay.
and you won't hear it for the first time.
Okay. Sure.
And it's called "I've Been Waiting." And in a fair world, this guy be a superstar. You know.
And do you write lyrics for songs that Slade writes? Are you involved in the writing process?
No, the song that I'm going to play you and that we do now, it was him singing it.
I see.
His voice was higher at the time.
Yeah.
And called "I've Been Waiting." So we're
Wow, that's
doing-
great.
Yeah,
This
he's
is
amazing.
Amazon's new money-making app. Let
Oh,
me show you
thank
how
you.
it works.
Yeah.
That app
So we're
is
doing
called
that song.
It creates
Friday night I was cruising. I was thinking about you. I drove through the city streets in the rain. Thought if I would meet up with you, that you'd break down in my arms. Then I can tell you how long I wanted you bad. Don't you know I've been waiting? I've been waiting from sun to sun. It's 'cause of you I can't take it. I can't take another sun to go down without you. So basically that song will be doing that.
Wow.
That song called Destiny.
Does Headband, are you all planning to put out like an album or anything at some point, or just kind of writing your own songs right now?
Yeah, we do. Well, I didn't mention that I have a solo album that came out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's called The Essence of Grace.
Okay.
And it's got a lot of, like, they call it acoustic metal. This one
I see.
I like invented another subgenre there. It's Rich Casale,
Okay.
The Essence of Grace. And it wasn't released that long ago,
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was my solo album.
Okay.
And it's like folk acoustic metal, and it's like, it's something different, something
Sure.
different to hold my interest.
Sure.
And I will let you hear Before the Dawn. Why not? Because you like Judas Priest, so we both do. I don't know how well, this stuff is on my YouTube channels. I have a lot of music on there. So you just go to my channel.
Sure thing.
Cool. And the stuff that I've recorded with, you know what? Since we're in the, since we're with doing the Cold Sweat stuff, I should play something that includes me, Russ, and Mikey. And we also did a cover of Ride Captain Ride that's up there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
really?
we had to buy the license from the guy, the guitarist.
I bet, yeah.
And it took so long. It was done by mail.
Oh my God, yeah.
Check out this song. It's Russ. Russ on. This is Every Saturday project, and basically it's me and Russ from Cold Sweat, and Mikey Fass, who on percussion, who became the drummer later on.
That's right.
Russ started as drummer, so.
What's really interesting to me is, all of you have played in so many different kinds of bands together. It's like all of the Cold Sweat members. It's like a couple played in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bands together. A couple of the other of you have played in other bands together. It's you still it's still clear how much each of you are kind of intertwined musically with each other. That's a very interesting thing, because you don't often see that with bands who haven't been together in a long time.
Right, yeah.
But now I'm curious.
Songwriting, it's good too, because you get to know what like you got AI now with predicting. Well, people, you know what the possibilities are going to be of the next note or the next beat with people you're familiar with.
That's right. Now
I like that you noticed that.
Absolutely, because I know Warren's played in like a Rush tribute band, a Jimi Hendrix tribute band. Like, I know some of his different tribute bands, and I know you've performed with him and so in various projects, and I know Russ has performed with a few. It's just interesting to see, and it's it's nice to see that too.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm curious to know a little bit more about the metal magazine that you helped start, and why don't you talk a little bit about that process of starting it and its early years?
Well, Russ had a newsletter called Music Net, I believe, and what happened is that I got inspired by, I've always been like a good writer, and it was a chance to, I'll tell you one thing, you start a magazine, you get all your records for free.
Yes. Great idea there.
Right. And, back in the day, you couldn't go on YouTube, so, no. But, and all my reviews, I ended up being a pretty good person to review stuff, and I just wanted to see, what is the next thing? How is this? At the time, music was getting heavier and heavier.
Yeah.
And crazier and nuttier, like a band like Venom. Remember a band called Venom?
Of course, absolutely.
Their
Black
name,
metal.
Right, black metal.
At war with.
At war with that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I have enough bad luck without it, but they were pushing the ante in every direction, and it's just so exciting that time to see where it was going to lead. And, well, it was called Death Scream. And Death Scream has, it's now online, and one of the articles I wrote for it, the 50 worst metal albums of all time. My style is Mad Magazine and Circus Magazine. Were my thing. And just like make everybody into the petty human that they are, and all the, it was like a lot of sarcasm in there.
Sure.
And I don't know if have you read any of the Death Scream stuff that's out there, or no? Or
I've read the article that mentions Cold Sweat.
Okay, the 10
bands from New York that made it, or something like that, right? Yeah. But
made it, meaning records.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a couple of articles, clicking from there, but
Black Lace are in that list. Black Lace. That is actually a relation to that guy in that band.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the lead singer in Black Lace.
Oh.
They made Get It While It's Hot, and yeah.
I see.
Did you ever hear that band?
I don't think so. I'd have to listen to. Yeah.
Band from New York, Warrior.
Yeah.
Fighting for the Earth. Have you heard them? They are.
I don't know if I have.
The singer is like one of those 7-8 octave singers.
Wow.
Like a Jim Gillette type of dude.
Wow.
Yeah,
Warrior, okay.
So I got to hear bands like that where, and of course, you don't know this and I didn't say it yet, that Eric Adams, I think his real name is Louis Morello, from Manowar, made me, I said, this guy's voice is so strong.
Yes.
And he's going to endure, and that's what I want to be. I want to be a strong singer, an enduring singer. And I still do one of their ballads, Master of the Wind, as a warm-up. Do you know that one?
Yeah, I do.
In the silence of the darkness, when all are fast asleep, I live inside a dream. I'm calling to your spirit as the sail calls the wind. Hear the angels sing, and far beyond the sun, across the western sky, reach to the blackness and find a silver lining. And in a voice I whisper, a candle in the night will carry all our dreams on a single beam of light. So close your eyes and look into a dream. The winds of change, the winds of fortune bring. Fly away to a rainbow in the sky. Gold is at the end for each of us to find. There the road begins, where another one will end. And here the four winds know who will break and who will bend, all to be the master of the wind. Falling stars, they light my way. My life was written on the wind. Clouds above and clouds below, and I ascend to the dream within. When the wind wins the sky, the clouds will move aside, and there will be the road to all our dreams. And for any day that stings, to better days it brings. 'Cause nothing is as bad as it seems. So close your eyes and look into a dream. The winds of change, the winds of fortune bring. Fly away to a rainbow in the sky. Gold is at the end for each of us to find. And there the road begins where another one will end. And here the four winds know who will break and who will bend, all to be the master of the wind. That's still my warm-up these days.
Wow. Wow. So when you were getting this magazine off the ground, were you playing in any bands at the time?
Quite the ham, aren't
Hey, this is great. This is great. Were you playing in any bands at the time? As
Yeah.
heavy music was getting heavier and heavier, did you play in any like thrash or
it's funny.
any bands
I
like that?
actually was in one of the first American death metal bands for one gig.
Okay, what
I
band?
couldn't get a drummer that could play that fast.
Yeah.
You got to play. There is a certain style in
There
death
is.
metal. It's freaking amazing. Guys like Nick Bark and Cradle of Filth, and some of the black metal guys too. It's like it's just constant.
I know.
It's pummeling, double bass,
Pure athleticism. I mean, it's crazy. Like, yeah.
I mean, so I got the Rich Casale band, which this one here, this was even recent. And for that gig, I had all my own death metal originals. One of the songs was "Return to Auschwitz."
Okay.
It
Yeah,
went,
sure.
Return to Auschwitz to kill the Führer. Return to Auschwitz, that's an order. And I was like, I growled it,
Yeah, sure.
Return to Auschwitz, it was like that. And this is 1986.
Wow.
And people
Okay.
were like, the closest you can get to that at the time was probably Motorhead.
Yeah, sure.
And so I had the Rich Casale. So, I was always into keep projects that kept, my interest.
Sure.
So I wanted to use that aggressive vocal style, and I play guitar. I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter. And I wrote some very heavy songs. So we had a drum machine going on full blast, and I just remember, and this is like, sometimes these memories are, it was a contraption. It wasn't just a drum machine. It was like a contraption of some sort. And it was like, nowadays you can come out with a drum machine with a band or on a recording and nobody, so what? There's no real drum set on.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And there were bands like you mentioned when we talked before. What was it, Mortician or something?
Yeah. Yeah, they've used the drum machine for a large part of their career.
And now with the, if you hear any AI-made music, which Russ has his Cyborg Generation Army, what are you going to call those? Real drums?
Yeah.
Artificial drums?
I know.
Machine drums? Yeah. It's veering into that.
Wow. So you were staying at the kind of cutting edge of heavy music throughout. Wow. Now, as far as Cold Sweat's concerned, do you have any? Are there any songs that you wrote with Cold Sweat that stand out as kind of your lasting, the legacy you're most proud of? One or two songs.
Well, I was actually going to perform. I was a teenage Mel Bay.
Okay.
Mel Bay was the guy. You couldn't learn guitar without coming across the Mel Bay books.
Yeah.
And I was asked not to play that for you because supposedly the guitarist, Keith Haas, claimed this is like a they used to have a show called The Partridge Family.
Uh-huh,
And
uh-huh.
while Danny Partridge was sleeping, the bass player would say that he wrote it and he was listening to him. So it's one of those situations.
I see.
Yeah, but it's a very punk. It was called "I Was a Teenage Mauvais."
I see. So that's one of the songs. Any other of the Cold Sweat songs you want to mention?
Yeah, it was Skeleton City. Holes in their skulls where their eyes used to be. In Skeleton City, the land of the dead, their last will and testament, the others have fled. They left us to bleed in Skeleton City. And then it would just gruff like be, I see that you have no reason to live. You know, that song. Skeleton City, the land of the dead. So I would get used to like having my own style.
Sure.
Like Rich sing it like you know, your voice, like that kind of thing. So yeah, Mistress Sarah. Yeah, it was about like that. Yeah.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I'd
Well,
like to catch up with that recording that we're trying to know what happened to, the one with the Power Play Studio. Maybe you can help us with that.
how many tracks were on that one?
With Donnie, have you had any case? I think it was 4 or something.
Okay. I see. I'll look into it.
Donnie Fury. I know I spoke to him. Maybe about 7 years ago. He has a studio in Ithaca, New York.
Huh.
If I'm not right.
I see.
I think it's Ithaca.
I see. Huh. But yeah, so you all have lost track of that recording then, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah.
That's too bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's too bad. Well, yeah, is there anything else about Cold Sweat that you haven't mentioned yet that you want to, that you want to mention?
No, I probably have mentioned every effing little thing that I could. No, okay. No, there's probably a million things that I'm leaving out and everything. But yeah, we could leave that topic.
Okay, sure. And then what about, any of the bands or projects you've been a part of after Cold Sweat? Anything you want to talk more about with those bands or projects?
Well, my solo album was a lot of fun to make.
Yeah.
And it was, like I said, I really enjoy the recording studio.
Where'd you record that one?
Oh, somewhere in Midtown.
Okay.
And the thing is, the lead instrument for me with that was a really great acoustic guitar. I think it was a Martin.
I see.
And most of my songs were written as folk. And if you hear that album, you're going to hear a lot of different, what they called acoustic metal.
Yeah.
And it was like, the reason it stands out to me is that I want to herald I want something to come along in my life. And that acted as like a herald to it. Like, that's it, you know? That's going to show you my vision here.
Sure.
And be confident and strong, and that's gonna be my next move, to be confident and strong and have a good vibe about everything. And it's going to be a new chapter in my own life. And that's what I think recording represents to any musician. Will probably tell you that, you know?
Did you, that solo album, were there any like backing musicians who played with you, or did you record everything?
Oh, okay. So I got to use my range on it, and matter of fact, I did play. I think I did. But then again, there are songs that do not have but very sparse instrumentation.
I see.
I have a theme song that I've always had since I was with that death metal project, Betrayer. Betrayer is my theme song. It's kind of like a Hendrix type of song. I've had it since I was 17. And I've taken out, I say, oh, Rich, you want to do this song? And, play with, like you said, we have our own guys, and I've played it with the guys. And it is my theme song.
How does it go?
I sailed across the distant sea just because you wanted me. The captain read the longitude. I said goodbye to solitude. Betrayer. No, this is one I got.
Oh, you have? Okay, yeah.
This is my theme song.
Yeah, play it.
Yeah. And this is endured since I was like 17. and it is on that album. So I'll have to
Okay,
go on
okay.
one of the tracks.
And so that's the version you're going to play,
Yeah,
the
it
one
was
that's on that
uploaded by
album.
yeah.
And if someone, you know, wanted to go back and listen
Russ
to...
was like, you don't bring your guitar.
if someone wanted to go back and listen to the songs you're playing, they can find that on your own YouTube channel, or they spread throughout different YouTube channels?
Okay, this one, Rich Casale, I think it's on the Power Voltage Records.
Okay.
No, this is on the Rich Casale channel. That's me holding my SG. I'm a big SG fan since Tony Iommi.
Okay,
I
I
always
see.
have to have SGs.
Sure.
And right now I have a Carlo Robelli, 1967 Carlo Robelli SG.
Wow.
And it's better than yet. They got ripped. They like ripped off their style. All right, so Betrayer. It sounds. I don't know what this is gonna sound like. A little bit of battery in there. So I talked about things that herald a new era. I want you to hear what ends this album. It's a little rant that I go on here, and it's called Zanos.
Okay.
Zanos has its origins in my first wife, who committed suicide by taking a mass overdose of. I came back from record hunting in Long Island, and oh my God! But anyway. A couple of days before she died, she channeled an American Indian spirit, and the stories she told me, I still remember. I used them for my songs and stuff, but it was like, I'm sorry that had to happen and everything, but I got a lot of wisdom from it.
Yeah.
So Zanos, Znazus, was one of the characters in this. But I noticed this from a dying friend. When people are dying, they want to give you something that you wouldn't believe, a kind of gift that comes from their energy. And we were all amazing beings, every single one of us. And one of my friends, like, he made my computer that was a brick work again. So This is a little rant that ends this album, The Essence of Grace.
Okay.
Rich Casale, so...
The world was made of dreams that for 7 nights were a part of the days. In the first dream, the blood ran and covered the land. In the second dream, the blood froze and his tears formed a river. In the third dream, he returned to the river over a hot, floating lava bed. When the river cooled, he drank from the river and was born. Dreaming, 32,000 years ago, darkness came to the world, hatred and scorn. Apocalypse, Jesus Christ, end times begun. It was hands to light, look in their eyes, couldn't follow the sun, couldn't follow the sun. When the river meshed with the ice, he drank from the river and was born. Darkness into the world, hatred is gone. Hatred is gone. Darkness came to the world of hatred is gone. The apocalypse and revelation of Jesus Christ. It is now the time of the end indeed. The benevolent wisdom of the priest is with thee, honing psychic skills that have laid dormant, and they are now manifest. Eons have passed. Stars have crossed the heavens to reveal the constellation of Orion, that because of the Mayan calendar has had to be recessed in the pages of known time. The storm has already occurred, and as the story is told, the shelter of the storm houses will be no more. The eternal tomb of fire shall commence, open, and reveal the sanctity of his displeasure as the liability of mankind becomes obvious. The writ cannot be changed, nor altered, nor obliterated in any known way. The end of time has come to pass. The grace of God is revealed. Blessings and the undeserved kindness promised by his wisdom reign supreme as the universe quivers in throne. The goddess and the angel are contained in a single image for all his brethren to see. The panspermic beauty congeals as one singularity. Unification is achieved. Love and blessings. From sickness to God of balance in the idol of court. We reach.
Trippy enough for you?
So I think that's a good kind of place to work our way towards the ending here. I got a couple questions that I typically ask at the end here, or actually for this project, really.
I knew that would be the part where you say, that's it, Rich.
No.
You weird guy, get the hell
No,
out
not
of
at
here.
all.
No.
Not at all. But yeah, so I'm curious to know, I know you said when you were in Throgs Neck, it kind of felt more like Queens and the Bronx and all. I imagine Co-op City had its own kind of feel, of course. Mm-hmm. But do you think that, growing up in the Bronx, living in the Bronx so long, has, being from the Bronx, has that had an effect on you, like a specific effect on you musically at all? Like, could be the way you carry yourself or, your approach. I mean, is there any way that the Bronx has influenced your musical development over the years, would you say?
Yo, that's it, No. Okay, so, like, I know where you're going with that, and I think that, New Yorkers or New York music and rock and guys from... There's a punk edge, there's a street edge to it, but as far as what that tangible quality would be, I don't know it. I don't know what that would be, but there is a New York thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, Steven, you're you're getting all that, down, so you probably know better than I would, but yeah, it certainly figures into it.
For sure. Well, anything else you want to say in closing? Could be about music, doesn't have to be about music, could be about the Bronx, doesn't have to be about the Bronx. Anything, just as closing thoughts you want to leave with?
Well, I think that I kind of did that by playing the last thing that I did.
Exactly.
It was meant to open a new door and to close an older. Every door that closes, another one opens.
Absolutely.
And that's, God bless everybody, and I'm beyond grateful for this amazing interview, Dr. Payne.
Well, thank you, Richie. Really appreciate all your time today.